Welcome to the July 1st, 2019 Frankfort Village Board meeting. We call this meeting to order and we ask our clerk, Jean Zavaria, to take the roll, please.
Mayor Holland.
Here.
Trustee Borelli. Here. Trustee Clavio is absent. Trustee Farina.
Here.
Trustee Ogle.
Here.
Trustee Petro.
Here.
Trustee Trevarthen.
Here.
Attorney Mahoney.
Here.
Attorney Lamore.
Present.
Chief Barica.
Present.
Admin Pisha.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on our agenda is what we call the unanimous consent agenda. All items on the unanimous consent agenda are considered routine in nature and will be voted on after a single motion. If one of the trustees wants to discuss one of those items in more detail, we'll just remove it from the consent agenda. So I first ask, do any trustees want to remove any items from the consent agenda? Not hearing any, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion by Trustee Trevarthen and a second by Trustee Ogle. We do want the people here in the boardroom to know something about the items that we're voting on this evening, and we want the people at home on the internet and on the TV to also know what we're voting on. So we'll go over each one of them briefly, and there are only three items. The first one being the approval of the minutes from our last meeting on June 17th. The second one being the approval of the bills. And we'll go to the chairperson of our Finance Committee, Adam Borelli, for a report on the bills.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The bills tonight total $509,459.57. A couple of highlights. One is $106,000 for our monthly garbage bill to New Way for garbage and recycling services. And then another one I would like to mention is the $19,000 we spent for the electrical panel. This is on the east end of Kansas Street over by White Street, and that'll give us greater flexibility during Fall Fest, the Bluegrass Festival, et cetera, for more options for vendors there. So I think that's a good thing that we talked about in the one of the March committee meetings. So that'll be in place and ready to go. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Adam. And then we also have another item from our Finance Committee, and that's our appropriation ordinance. So we'll go back to Trustee Borelli for a report on the appropriation ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. At its June 12th meeting, the Finance Committee reviewed the appropriation ordinance for FY 1920. This appropriation ordinance specifies the maximum amount which can be legally spent for the fiscal year, whereas the budget, which was passed back in April, establishes the maximum amount which may be spent. The appropriation ordinance must be passed before the end of the first quarter of the fiscal year, which is July 31st. The requested appropriation is $58,273,701, which is $7,539,971 lower than last year's appropriation of $65,813,672. The overall decrease mainly relates to the decreased appropriated amount for the wastewater treatment plant. The FY 1920 appropriated amount for the wastewater treatment plant is $15,396,350, which is approximately $10.8 million lower than last year. In addition, the general capital fund decreased by $86,400, whereas the water sewer capital fund increased by $2,789,600. The water sewer capital fund includes an increased amount for the repayment of the IEPA loan. The operating funds increased in total by $401,576. The motor fuel tax fund increased by $82,100, and the police pension fund increased by $74,000. This year's total appropriation of $58,273,701 is approximately $5.5 million over the budget amounts of $52,718,400. It was the consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to approve the appropriation ordinance as presented. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Financial Affairs Committee, waive the first and second readings, and pass an ordinance providing an appropriation for corporate purposes in the amount of $58,273,701 for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2019, and ending April 30th, 2020 for the Village of Frankfort.
Well, before we have a second, we will include that in the unanimous consent agenda.
Oh, that's
that
right.
okay?
I apologize. Yeah, that's right. That's already in the, you're right.
There we go.
There we go.
So
Okay.
We'll withdraw that motion. How's that sound?
Let's withdraw that motion.
Perfect. So we have the motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda, which also includes approving the appropriation ordinance. So that's what we're going to be voting on, and those are all of the items in the unanimous consent agenda. So before we do vote on them, is there anyone in the audience who wanted to make a comment to the village board about either of those items? Probably not, but who knows? Maybe somebody would. Any comments from the trustees? Questions, comments? Then we'll go to the vote to our clerk, Jean Savaria.
Trustee Borelli.
Yes.
Trustee Farina.
Yes.
Trustee Ogle.
Yes.
Trustee Petro.
Yes.
Trustee Trevarthen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
So now we have one other item of business this evening, and it's from our Plan Commission. And for this item, we're going to go back to Trustee Borelli for a report on it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is with respect to Ash Street subdivision, 202 Ash Street, Lot 1, front yard setback variance and building materials variance. The applicants purchased the subject property from the original developer, O'Malley Builders, in November 2018, with the intentions of constructing 3 homes which they would subsequently occupy as their personal residences. The applicants propose to construct homes that differ from those approved as a condition of the 3-lot subdivision approval and petition the village to grant variances to change the approved homes. As part of the original application, the applicants also requested a lot coverage variance from 20% to 21.19% for Lot 1. The applicants have since revised their proposal to comply with lot coverage requirements and request approval of variances of building materials requirements to permit non-masonry materials on the first floor and a reduction of the required front back setback from 30 feet to 15.5 feet for Lot 1 of the Ash Street subdivision. At the May 23, 2019 Plan Commission meeting held on the project, the commissioners forwarded 2 unanimous recommendations, 4-0, to the village board for approval of the variance request for Lot 1. So I'll like to make a motion to accept the Plan Commission recommendation, waive the first and second readings, and pass an ordinance granting a front yard setback variance from 30 feet to 15.5 feet and a building materials variance to permit the use of non-masonry materials in the construction of a single-family home on Lot 1 of the Ash Street subdivision in accordance with the reviewed plans and public testimony.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Trustee Borelli and a second by Trustee Ogle. At this time, I'll take any comments that either people, the trustees have, or if there are comments people want to make from the audience. Well, we'll start with the trustees. Adam?
I appreciate the applicants going back and reducing the lot coverage variance. I think that is something that's just the board is sensitive to. I certainly am, and I appreciate their willingness to go back and revise the house to meet that requirement. So thank you.
Dick?
Yes, this is like putting a mini just subdivision within a large established village, you know. And I was just very much concerned, and first of all, I'm definitely for what we're doing. I'm very much concerned about all the drains, the water, et cetera. But I've been satisfied by we have a good engineer that overlooked it, you know, because as I looked at the property, where in the hell is all the water gonna go, you know? And it was very much my concern because of the older homes that sit there already. But I know everything's in place, I just hope it follows through. And I guess that's mostly my comments. I'm glad to see that it was done with, village engineer approves everything, and the water's gonna end up down at Prairie Park. So maybe the ducks will use it, so, thank you. That's all I want to say, Jim.
Dick, hopefully to alleviate some of your concerns, O'Malley was required to hire an engineer and submit plans for drainage. There are drains that will be installed in the backyard of, I think it's Lot 1, the house to the north.
Yes.
And that's supposed to keep the water out of the neighbor's yard over on Oak. And then our engineer, Robinson Engineer, reviewed those plans, right, Rob? And yes, and has said they should work. So good for you to bring it up.
Looks good.
Trustee Petro.
Thank you, Mayor Helen. I've definitely been
part of this project since the inception when O'Malley brought it forth to divide the lot and put in the 3 homes. And I think at that time, there was some careful consideration to approving with the design and the surveys with the homes that were constructed. So I think it's really important when we go back and we look at the design change in the home that we also take in the information that we've received from the comprehensive plan to date. We've had the new building design guidelines as one of the sub-areas for the historic downtown residential area. There's been a lot of public participation from the residents, both in online surveys with visual preference surveys, as well as the consultant that has put together draft guidelines from both a live workshop and the ability to comment on that. And if you haven't had the opportunity to check out our 2040 comprehensive plan, I certainly encourage you to check out yourfrankfurt.com. Lots of great articles and opportunities to see where we're really headed and what the future of Frankfurt is going to look like. One of the parts that I would like to comment on specific to the change in this particular house design is the area of the garage orientation and driveway width. And so with that, I have some concerns with a 3-car garage right on Utah Street, that would be not in line with the downtown residential design guidelines that we've worked as a community to put it forth together. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Margaret?
Thank you, Mayor Holland. I appreciate you working with Zach Brown to streamline the size of the house and have it under 20%. I think that's key in the downtown historic district. I want to echo what Trustee Petro mentioned about the 3-car garage. I too am concerned about that. While our guidelines currently are in draft format, I can appreciate you moving forward with your 3-car garage, though that is something that has been shared over and over with the downtown residents and their concerns. They like to see either a 2-car garage that's not facing the street or a garage separate from the house to resemble the current look and feel of the downtown. With that though, however, I am supportive of the current motion in front of us, but I do think we need to work on an overlay district and ensure that we go from draft guidelines to actually adopted guidelines, but an overlay that takes in consideration 2-car garages only for the historic district, as well as scalability. The height, and these are a lot of houses I've seen come forth to the Plan Commission in the downtown. While our ordinances allow for 35-foot height, it makes sense where we're at. I think you're in Cobblestone now. Right, and I'm across the street in Misty Falls. It makes sense in those areas. Here it doesn't. We need to work on that. So I'm really hopeful and supportive of an overlay district in the future, of course with the feedback and approval of local residents as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Margaret. Those are good suggestions about the overlay district and the future. That is a zoning change for people, so it's something to take very seriously, and we'll have plenty of opportunity for people to weigh in on it before we make any decision like that. Any other comments from the trustees? Any comments from the public before we take the vote? So we'll go to our clerk. We do have a motion and a second, right? Yes. And we'll go to our clerk, Jean Savaria, for the vote.
Trustee Borelli? Yes. Trustee Farina?
Yes.
Trustee Ogle?
Yes.
Trustee Petro? Trustee Trevarthen?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Very well. The next item on the agenda this evening is what we call the mayor's report. The first item on the mayor's report is that the non-home rule sales tax took effect today. Today in Frankfurt, when you buy items at Home Depot or at Kohl's or certain things in grocery stores, paper products and such, you'll be paying 8% tax instead of 7%. This extra money is, well, we're already spending it before we got it, just like governments do sometime. We've hired more police. We told the public that's what we're going to do. It's resulted in a special detail. John can describe it during his report, but Officer Monreal is on special assignment where he's out working the nights on these car burglaries, that sort of thing. We have 2 new police officers in training right now, and we're in the process of hiring more. So it will make an impact in our community. And some of this money will also be used for infrastructure improvements. We used to spend about $500,000 a year on road resurfacing. This year we'll spend over $2 million on road resurfacing. So that's a major change for us, and we're going to have things in good shape here. And we appreciate the confidence of the public, and we recognize that 47% of the people in Frankfort voted against this sales tax increase, and so we'll keep them in mind as we're careful with their money. July 4th fireworks show. Now this is a great opportunity for family fun. It's right here next to the Village Hall in Main Park. The activities begin at 5 p.m. There's inflatables, face painting, that sort of thing, fun things for children. And then the fireworks will kick off around 9 o'clock. The Park District, the Village of Frankfort, the Chamber of Commerce, the Kiwanis Club, and the Firefighters Foundation and Union Association sponsor this, and they pay for it, all of those organizations, and it's very much appreciated. Go to the public fireworks show. It's a safe place to be. We have a lot of private fireworks shows around Frankfort. They're illegal, and we have every year. People get hurt, and we've had a few fires from these things. It's just not worth it. Come out to the public one. It's great fun. Concerts on the Green continues every Sunday. There'll be 2 musical performances. This coming Sunday, the Frankfort Brass Band will be playing from 5 to 6 o'clock, and the Joliet American Legion Band will start at 6:30. The second of the 3 Movies on the Green event takes place on July 9th, Kicking and Screaming. Now there's a title for a movie. That starts about 8:30 or when it gets dark. And at this event, the Frankfort Kiwanis Club will be popping popcorn and passing it out. And the popcorn, believe it or not, is free in Frankfort. Bluegrass on the Green Festival returns to Brighart Green for the 9th year. Now, this is an award-winning festival. These are top names in the bluegrass industry from across the United States. Very interesting event for Frankfort. It's on Saturday and Sunday, July 13th and 14th. It goes from 10 in the morning to 10:30 p.m. And it's not just one event. There's the main stage on the Brighart Green stage, but there's more activity over in Prairie Park. There's a smaller stage there. There are clinics going on. If you want to bring your guitar or your banjo or whatever, maybe even a ukulele. I don't think they use those in bluegrass, but mandolin they use. Those are a nice instrument for bluegrass, but you can bring those instruments, and there are places for lessons or just to jam with other people, and it is fun, and it does attract people from all across the Chicagoland area. Contestants wanted for the amateur rib cook-off. In Frankfort, on August 3rd, on Saturday, we have a rib cook-off. Now, they're all amateurs. Now, these amateurs aren't so amateur. They're very good. They do a great job on these ribs. Most of them get out there at about 7 in the morning, and those ribs will cook until 1 in the afternoon, and then they serve them. A lot of the contestants dress up in costumes. They decorate their grills. They decorate their serving area. It's definitely a fun event for the whole family. And yes, you pay a little bit for the ribs that you eat, but believe it or not, the contestants who are competing in this, and they're all amateurs, they have to pay $100 because that's how we supply the ribs, or actually it's Frankfort Jaycees that sponsor this. And, they supply the ribs, and everybody has exactly the same ribs to start with, and then it's the sauce and the cooking technique that makes the difference. Anyway, there are prizes for first, second, and third place and crowd pleaser. It's a lot of fun, and the Lions Club works on that too, right? Yes. So that's nice event. Applications for Plan Commission appointment are available. With Jean Savaria's appointment to the village clerk, we have an opening on the Plan Commission, and we're certainly interested in people who might want to serve on that very important commission in our community, and we have some applications already from some very fine residents, so that's going well. And I understand there was a resignation on our Historic Preservation Commission. So if somebody has a particular interest in the history of Frankfort, I'd be interested in hearing from them too, and there'll be applications for that available at the front desk or online. Summer Beautification Award winners have been finalized. A list of the winners will be available tomorrow on the village website under Hot Topics, and congratulations to all those people who put in some extra effort into their yards to make Frankfort look better. There were a number of businesses that received the award this year and a number of homeowners association, but mostly just your neighbors and your friends who did something a little bit extra, so we appreciate that. And that concludes the mayor's report, and we'll go to our police chief, John Barica, for the police department report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, we'd like to echo your thoughts on the fireworks, and we'd rather people go out to the free show at the Park District. It's a good reminder, too, that many people with pets and PTSD are affected by the fireworks also, so be considerate of your neighbors. Go to the free show over here and leave it to the professionals, much safer. I'd also like to comment on the bluegrass coming up to remind people that Kansas Street will be shut between Oak and White, as well as Ash Street during that the festival, starting on Saturday morning through the end of the fest on Sunday. You can also go to their website and look for parking. There's plenty of off-site parking at many of the local churches, which is put on their website, so good way to find parking. I'd like to remind the trail users that went on the trail, to remind them that they should yield the right-of-way. People on the trail have to yield the right-of-way to traffic. The vehicles have the right-of-way, and people should not enter the crosswalks until it's safe to do so. Unfortunately, we had an accident over the weekend, and it was from a bicyclist that went through, but we have to make sure that those people slow down and cross when it's safe only. It's up to the vehicle to yield once you've entered the crosswalk safely. Also, of course, want to remind you to lock your cars, take your keys in, and part of what you said, the directed patrol is what we're hiring the extra officers for, and that way we can use them to supplement our regular patrolmen that are out there. And he's out today, as a matter of fact. He'll be out a little bit late, trying to make sure that keep an eye out for any of these car burglars, because they are still around throughout the Chicagoland area. So continue to lock your cars and help us to help you. And that's all I have. And have a safe and happy 4th of July.
Thank you, John. And now for the village administrator's report, we go to our village administrator, Rob Pisha.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to let residents know that our ask is a kind of a public service, that if you have items in your backyard, such as like a trampoline, lawn furniture, things that could potentially get launched during a severe storm, that be courteous to your neighbors and make sure that they are secured. It can be kind of dangerous. We've had some severe storms that 40, 50, 60 mile an hour winds, and I have seen it. My neighbor had a trampoline a few years ago that ended up against the neighbor's house during one of the storms. So just something to keep in mind, that if we're scheduled to have severe weather, to please be courteous and secure those items. Also want to remind residents on the bag pickups for the brown bags that you put grass clippings in and the leaves and other yard waste, that they do require a sticker, the green sticker from New Way. They can be purchased here, but they will not be picked up unless the sticker is clearly visible. I have seen it occasionally where people will put them out at the curb and assume that they'll be picked up with the trash, but without the sticker they will not be removed. And finally, also just want to wish everybody a safe and happy 4th of July.
Thank you, Rob. And now for the village attorney's report, we go to our village attorneys, Hannah Lamore and George Mahoney.
I do have a report tonight, Mr.
Oh,
Mayor.
good.
I wanted to inform you of a recent change in law, a rather significant change that I think has an impact on you individually. Effective June 14th of 2019, a village president may now conduct civil marriage ceremonies.
Oh, how nice.
You now have that power.
I've done one of those before. I enjoyed it. But I became, whatever it is, an online minister, a church of something, and it was fun. But
Yeah.
that's a power that a village president has, as of June 19th.
June 14th.
14th, well, I should have known. Maybe I would have had an opportunity already. Yeah. But, great, thank you.
That is all, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
And that brings us to the part of our meeting we call Other Business, and this evening we'll start with our trustee Borelli.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I missed the last board meeting, so I just want to say congratulations to Clerk Savaria. Welcome. And hope to see everyone at the Bluegrass Fest. It's always a great time. The 4th of July show downtown is always fantastic. It's just great. There's nowhere else I'd rather be than Frankfort in the summertime. It's just fantastic. So I hope to see you all around, and a happy, safe Independence Day to you and the residents of Frankfort. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Adam. Trustee Ogle.
Mayor, I'd also like to encourage people to come out to the Bluegrass Festival. It's a very family-friendly event. It's a great time down here in Frankfort. For Rob, I do have a question. In our bills, we had $5,000 with AIS, and it seems like this weekend we just got blasted with spam coming through that portal. So I don't know if that's already been taken care of, or
We have addressed it with our IT company, and they're looking, it appears that it's coming through our web provider.
Okay.
So we need to work with them to come up with a way to stop that. But yeah, because it's coming through the contact form, it's a little more difficult. It's not as easy just turning it off, because that way you would not receive any of the contact email, so.
right. Yeah, I thought the town was blowing up this weekend. This kept going off. I was like, oh, wait, and then until you read them.
Trustee Ogle, I had made the recommendation that we put something on the contact form section of the website where a human user has to put in a code.
Like a CAPTCHA.
Yes,
thing,
exactly,
yeah.
to
Mhm.
stop any bots.
Yeah.
Because certainly we don't want the village data or internal system to be vulnerable
Sure.
to hackers and such.
Sure. All right, thank you very much, Rob. To the young man who was in the accident there on Elsner Road, crossing the bike path, we wish him a speedy recovery. Hopefully that's all. And then also everyone to have a safe and happy 4th of July, and leave it to leave it to the professionals. Don't try to do this yourself. I know people have started already, but every year we have people that are injured. There's certainly people that are distressed by the noise, so please be considerate of your neighbors. Maybe just limit it to the one day, and again, be safe with it. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Keith. Trustee Farina.
Thank you, Mayor Holland. I want to congratulate Operation Playground as well as the Frankfort Park District for their dedication of the Judy Herder Pump Track, which is an Indian Boundary Park right on Nebraska. If you haven't gone there yet with the kids and their bikes, go there. It's fun. It was a lovely evening last week with Judy's family and the Park District Board and such. I know Trustee Ogle and Trustee Borelli also joined me there in support of the dedication, which was fabulous. Also, last week, I attended the Will County Center for Economic Development State of the County Breakfast. It was held in Mokina, Tuscany Falls. Adam Nielsen from staff joined me as well. This organization is a nonprofit that supports private and public entities here in Will County who want to help with economic development and increase opportunity for our county. A lot of information and overview on statistics and data about the health of our county and new industry, low unemployment rates and such. 2 local impacts were shared that day. One, the I-80 Des Plaines River Bridge reconstruction project will go into effect shortly. It's an $848 million project that was the state's top priority with its capital budget. Also, there was $162 million for a South Suburban Airport at the I-57 interchange, and that interchange is about 5 miles south of the Stunkel Road interchange off of Frankfort. So that's it for my report, other than have a happy 4th of July, and I'll see you at Main Park on Thursday.
Thank you, Margaret. Trustee Trevarthen.
Mine's very simple, Mayor. For all you people who are into gardening, everybody rushes up at one time. Now's the time of the year they want to start trimming everything. You had a lot of water this spring, a lot of lush growth, and a lot of plants, and now everybody wants to run around and shape it up again. and trim it off. But be careful, be sure all your shrubs are done flowering. And then you can trim them, and give your evergreens another couple weeks, and then you can trim them. I wouldn't rush into it now too quick, but the time will be here quick enough. But just remember, if that shrub hasn't done flowering, you don't want to trim till it's done flowering. That's the big one I have tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Trustee Petro.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I would just encourage everyone who is thinking about getting involved in our local government to really consider the 2 openings that we have now. One for a planning commission. I certainly enjoyed serving as a planning commissioner, and I think it's a great way to get involved in the village of Frankfort and support our community and putting together where Frankfort is going in the future. Also, the historic preservation having an opening. Frankfort is one of about 34 communities that is a certified local government, in which we have certain rules and regulations in place to maintain our historic downtown. And if you have an interest in serving on that, there is a position open. It involves not only just looking at the historic area, but really utilizing the state and some of the funding that's available through the certified local government to help earn grants and other things that we can continue to utilize. I would encourage everyone to come out and participate in so many of the wonderful community events that we do have, whether it's the market or concerts, obviously the fireworks and the upcoming Bluegrass Festival. And lastly, just wishing everyone a happy and safe 4th of July.
Thank you, Jessica. And our clerk, Jean Savaria.
Trustee Petro kind of stole my thunder. Yeah, I would just like to say that if you are considering any kind of public service, that the Plan Commission is definitely one that's rewarding. It's not an easy job, but I would encourage anybody to go ahead and sign up if they're thinking about it, and have a safe and happy 4th.
Thank you, Jean. And that brings us to the part of our meeting we called public comments. Is there anyone in the audience who wanted to make a comment to the village board tonight? Not hearing anything, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned.